right, so Michael left. So what we're gonna do before we pray? Is we're gonna talk about relationships because part of being in a relationship is actually showing up and making sure you're there. So while so while Michael is figuring out what happened in his life, welcome to the stage, amazing licensed clinical social worker and CCTP critical chronic
You almost had it, but just trauma. How about them apples?
trauma professional, certified clinical trauma professional too.
Something like that. So I'm a certified complex trauma professional. There we go. You
Complex
almost
I
had it
couldn't
though.
get. Complex I couldn't get. So we have you in every week, man. We appreciate you coming in, and we know you have a lot of things that you do, and you've got standing calls. But we get you here every week for you to come on and talk to us about different status of relationships. I already had a lady come on and express her love to me, so that was amazing. That was great. That was what it was about. That Eros love. So we're about that, but relationships, there's very a lot of different ways that we do relationships. So we give everybody an opportunity on this show, on the Michael Coylar morning show, to come on and ask relationship questions. If you have one, what is it? If you don't have one, then you already have some amazing information that you can give us to help us better in our relationships, whether it be interpersonal, professional, or whatever have you. So I'm looking through, I don't see any immediate questions. So maybe you can just give us a topic and maybe that'll lead us into some discussionary questions.
Absolutely. So number one, I'm just grateful to be here every week. And in light of today being my daughter's 7th birthday, she is a
Yay!
can't do much for her till she's 21, but it's okay. But I want to talk
Legally.
about legally. I want to talk about the parent-child relationship. I think sometimes we don't focus a lot on that. And depending on what your parent-child relationship was, it impacts your intimate relationships as well. So
Really?
it does. So one thing that I've realized when it comes to relationships is because our parents normally did not validate the things that we were supposed to have done in our lives, we look for our spouse to be that increase an extra source of validation. So then when it doesn't happen, we don't feel like they love us, we don't feel like they care about us, or we start a bunch of different arguments. So one thing that I like to tell people in your relationship, it is okay to tell somebody when you want them to do something different or when something's not making you happy, but it should be a 3-1 rule. Every time you share something that you don't like, you should find 3 things to celebrate that your significant other or your child is doing. So you may say, Mylira, what does that look like? If you know that your husband come home and he throws stuff on the ground and you tell them, not your husband, and you tell them, hey, pick this up. If I'm going to tell you that, I want to look for 3 things in the day that I can celebrate for you. So number 1, thank you for calling me this morning when you got to work. That made me know that you were thinking about me. Thank you for getting the kids today and I didn't have to think about it. Thank you for doing whatever. Let me find 3 things that is positive because that's what's going to keep the relationship going. Without those celebrations, then it sounds like you're just critiquing a person and then we wonder why your relationship is going sour. And it's the same thing when it comes to your kids. Your kids don't know that you love them if all you're telling them is what they're doing wrong. They should be celebrated for washing the dishes, even though they need to. You should say, hey, thank you for coming home and washing the dishes. You know, they may need to be celebrated for cleaning their room. We need to begin to shift our perspective. So then when we do provide criticism or that iron sharpened iron, when we have that moment, it won't hurt so bad because we're getting somebody celebrating the things that we're doing well. So I'm more privy to listen to it in a way of a lesson than a way as you giving it as a dagger or trying to tear me down.
So, and I think there's, if I can piggyback off of it, I think there's 2 things to that. I think that when you constantly tear somebody down or you're constantly, whether it's in your relationship or with your kids, when you're constantly telling them wrong, it even becomes white noise. So when the norm is you praising them, when you come back and say, hey, here's a moment of correction, the correction can actually be heard because that's different than what I normally hear. You know what I'm saying? And it actually is more poignant that way. And it also reestablishes that you're doing it out of love. Sometimes you've only heard the negative so long that you don't even know that there is a positive to that negative, that I'm trying to help raise you and make you better. When we talk about parental, and I'm a parent, my daughter's going to graduate in 2 weeks. I'm so excited about that. But as a parent, I think one of the things that we misinterpret is when people say, I'm raising my kids. You literally are not raising your kids. What you're raising is somebody else's husband, somebody else's wife, somebody else's parent. So you have to make sure that you're on point with that. And can I ask you this? One thing I've noticed about parenting is that usually when you have someone parent, when you become a parent, there's usually two things that happen. Either you're just like your parents or you're the exact opposite of your parent. If you found your parent to be too strict, too harsh, you decide to let your kids run free with everything, or you're just as harsh. What do you think is the best parenting technique?
So, number one, I tell people your life becomes what you focus on. So, when you hear someone say, I don't want to become like my mother, then what ends up happening is I'm visualizing what I don't want. So, it ends up becoming what's happening. So, there's so many people that will say that, or they'll say, I don't want to be a single mom. And then they find themselves like a single mom because the visual of not being that is what they saw. So a good thing when it comes to parenting is I want to begin to visualize what I want. So like for me, I want my children to see, yes, I'm a mother. Yes, I'm a wife, but I'm a woman first. So what they're going to see is their mom is going to go get her PhD. Their mom is going to be a full-time worker. Their mom is going to be, present and doing all these things. So for me, as I'm visualizing the type of mother I want, and I tell people all the time, it's not about being perfect. It's about being present. So when we're talking about this presence, you have to know what that presence look like. Not because you want to not be like your parent, but because I want to be the perfect parent in the sense of my presence is here for my children. Being okay to apologize. There's time where I tell my children all the time, Mommy, sorry, or Mommy need a moment, because the way I'm going to respond to you, I don't want to respond that way. I also talk to my parents to have a healing as well, because I didn't want for what they did to me to make me parent my kids in a trauma lens instead of a presence lens. So it talks with your visualization. Visualize the type of parent that you want to be so that you can become the parent that the kid actually needs you to be.
Wow. That's good information. Did we have anybody throw any questions up for you today?
I don't think so. I think what we did just jumped in when we talked about parenting. Today is my daughter's birthday. So I said, in light of it being my daughter's birthday, I wanted to talk about the parent-child relationship and how that serves as the foundation to our romantic relationships.
What's her name?
Adonaiah.
Adonaiah. That's a pretty name. Did you make that?
Thank you.
That's biblical.
Yes, it means the Lord is my God. So before I had my daughter, I lost two children, Mishael and baby number 2. So when I had my daughter, I realized that God was telling me that he was still Lord over my life. And I wanted to name her that to remind me of the gift that she is.
Wow. Wow. Well, I love you. You're amazing always. You're here every Friday with us with Relationship Talk.
Yes, sir.
So next week, I need y'all to show up with your questions now, because you got the answer. We got the right one, baby. So tell us how we can find you and what's coming up.
Absolutely. So you can find me at Mylira Transforms on Instagram. You have Transform with Mylira, my YouTube channel. So please go check that out. We did a dope project in March where we talked a lot about just super women who were able to take off their cape and keep going. Every Wednesday on Instagram, I have my mental moments with my girlfriend, Natasha, where we talk about different topics to transform your mental. If we can shift your perspective, we can change your life. And things coming up, I will actually be in Illinois come the week of May the 17th. I'll be doing a keynote speak for all of their sexual assault clinics there in Illinois. So I'm excited about that. My first big keynote speaking gig. And the next week of that will be in Dallas, Texas. I'll be at the Conference for Crime Against Women in Dallas, Texas. And then I'll be ending in Richmond for a mental health month staff development for some staff to talk about the importance of wellness in the advertising space. So I'm all over the place. But just make sure you connect with me. If you inbox me, you're going to get Mylira. And I'm just in the business of when I die, I want suicide to die with me. So that starts with healthy relationships, healthy connections. And Mike, thank you for being one of those healthy connections in my life. And Sonia, I love you. Thank you for allowing for us to have this relationship. You're my sister, and I love y'all to life.
Love you too.
Oh, I love you so much. Thank you. And you're so inspiring to me. I love that poster you have of your May schedule. I'm gonna start doing that. I gotta start doing that every month. That's awesome.
Well, just send it to me. I'll help you. I know Sonia got your schedule. So sis, just send it to me. I'll connect it and send it right back.
Oh, I love you. Thank you, Mylira. I love you. Thank you for a great, great, great one today. I appreciate you, and God bless you real good. Leave us with a woo, woo, woo.
Woo, woo, woo.
Woo! Give it up, y'all. I gotta step on that one. Mylira Green got down for her sporty crown. Where the chicken go? Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm gonna jump right